Chapter 21. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Birthday gifts. The red jewel necklace I was gifted held special magical properties. According to my parents, it was specifically made by someone that my parents knew, who they called a magic jewel maker. From the looks of it, this red jewel seems to be some sort of high-quality magic material, possibly possessing quite a lot of mana and magic within it. Surprisingly, at the very moment I put it on, I felt a sudden soul connection with it. The word mystical would definitely sum up the feeling I got. Soon, a glow of fiery red covered my neck before enveloping my face for a short instant. At that point, it was as if it covered my entire soul with a permeable membrane of magical fire, only to settle down at the end. What was that? Perhaps this necklace can enhance my fire magic. With that question in mind, I tried to ask my parents about it as I ate cake. Yeah, it's special. It can enhance the power and manipulation of your fire magic, dearie. We paid for it to be tailor-made so only you can use it, Mother replied. In other words, if anyone tries to take it away from you, the necklace might attack them, Father said, continuing where Mother left off. That's scary. On top of that, it's connected to your soul now that you wore it. Even if you take it off, you can still find it if you lose it through the soul connection, Mother added. Well then. That's very convenient. It's a powerful accessory made with the red dragon's magic crystal, bathed in its blood for a long time before being compressed through alchemy with many other materials. It's definitely top-notch craftsmanship, Father told me sometime later. Who made it? I asked. A good old friend of us. They call her the Witch of the Blue Mountain. She lives too far away from here, which is why she couldn't come. However, this gift we gave her the materials for was made by her for free, so it's also technically her gift to you, Mother answered. I see. I want to meet her and thank her. And maybe learn magic from her as well. Of course, I kept that to myself. Oh, don't worry. You'll eventually meet her one of these days, dear. How's the cake? Mother asked. It's delicious. Can I have seconds? Ha ha ha. This girl has quite the appetite. Little Aquarina can barely eat a plate. Nepheline could not help but say in response to my request. She's definitely a little eater, Shade said while patting his daughter's head. Cake is good. Aquarina said. She was a bit messy when she was eating by herself. Her face was slightly covered with cream actually. Now that I think about it, she looked so cute and clumsy. I am glad you like it, dear, my mother replied to Aquarina's compliment with a smile. Moving cake aside, there were also the earrings gifted to me by Aquarina. They also held a strong magical power within them, but I couldn't wear them yet because I haven't pierced my ears yet. Mother told me I could do it a few more years from now, telling me that she didn't want me to do it too young or else the pain would bother me a lot. Well, I actually think I can bear the pain since I am already quite tough. Anyways, Aquarina's parents told me these earrings were made using the magic crystal of a monster my parents fought in the past with them and the other heroes named Leviathan, the king of the sea. It was a powerful demon general under the demon king who ruled an area of the sea. It was a dangerous creature and due to it being a battle in the oceans, it was a very tough fight. However, they had to defeat him if they wanted to cross the oceans and reach the demon continent where the demon king was hiding. Such a wondrous story, it felt like it was pure fiction. But lo and behold, it had actually happened. In fact, I can already confirm it happened after seeing all these fantastical things. Nevertheless, all they've gone through in the past was so amazing. It's like an epic tale a child would listen to before going to sleep. And to think these earrings were made from the parts of this mighty and gigantic snake-like sea creature. From what I could sense, they contain very strong water attribute mana from within. I do wonder if I can wield water attribute. I'll have to try it out someday. Then again, thanks to the system and the ember skill, I'm obviously more proficient with fire. Perhaps learning other elements wouldn't be impossible. Nevertheless, they'll be pretty hard. But I think these earrings would be able to help me in that aspect. Damn it, why did they have to make them into earrings? If it was a ring, I could have worn it right away. Oh well, I shouldn't be ungrateful. I bet they wanted me to look pretty in these blue earrings. And to be honest, I also like how it looks. In my previous life, I didn't have time to properly enjoy my life nor be as feminine as I wanted to be. With that in mind, I'll try to enjoy my feminine side some more in this life, if possible. Letting my hair grow longer, wearing cute dresses. It'll definitely be fun. Oh right, Shade and Nephilim revealed their titles to me when I asked them. I used to be the hero of Dark Shadows, but I dislike this title, Shade told me. And I used to be the hero of Rock Hammer. Just so you know, I'm very proud of this title. In fact, it made my entire tribe very proud. Nephilim said soon after. They're indeed quite different from one another. Shade's very silent and reserved at times, often having a dead serious expression on his face, bordering expressionlessness most of the time. Then again, when Aquarina's around, he completely changes. She's definitely his weakness, that's for sure. On the other hand, Nephilim's very open, tends to laugh a lot, and talks very loudly. She's prideful as well as emotional. In fact, one can clearly see what she's thinking just by looking at her face expressions. I suppose that's the reason why they fell in love with one another. Because they complemented each other's personalities. I don't know. After the celebration of my birthday, we rested for a bit as my parents went and chatted with their friends. As for me, I went to my room with Aquarina, showing her my books. Wow. You already know how to read, she asked. Yeah, it's not so hard. The language of this world looked pretty similar to the one in my previous life. However, the books I have right now aren't that interesting. They're just little fairy tales. Want me to teach you? Let's try to read together. Oh. Okay, Yua. She's such a cute little cinnamon roll. Chapter 22. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A visitor inside my soulscape. With that, I spent the rest of the day reading with Aquarina. She had a hard time learning, but she got through some words without much problem. At some point, she got sleepy and ended up sleeping on my shoulder. Such a cute little girl, I'll make sure to protect her and become her good friend. I'm sure she'll become a talented young magician sometime in the future. In fact, even right now, she's exuding a powerful aura of mana within her. Although I can't properly discern it, her mana aura is blue and white. If I infer her attribute through the colors, then it's possible that she has affinity for water and life. There's also the fact that she's incredibly acute to energy fluctuations, even more than any of us, or our parents who are such strong heroes. She was able to sense the malice within Beelzebub even from down here. Not only that, but she's even capable of seeing through the intentions of people. It's a very strong ability. From one perspective, it's as if no one can deceive her. In other words, people can't lie or trick her. She'll always know what they truly intend to do. Of course, that doesn't mean she can read minds or something, but she can definitely emotions and intentions. Speaking of which, her parents told me that if she got close to me so fast, then that meant she had seen through my intentions and found out that I was a good person. I don't particularly think of myself as a good person, but I guess I don't have bad intentions at the very least. As I was continuing to read the book, I slowly moved her over my bed and left her there. At some point I got sleepy and moved to her side. And just slept. While sleeping, I didn't appear in the black landscape with the system in there. Instead, I found myself in a place blazing with fire everywhere. A volcanic landscape. I looked around and I noticed that my skin was burning. It hurt. I tried to move around, but I was barefoot. So, my feet were also burning. It hurt. A lot. Suddenly, as I tried to hurry and run away from this place in desperation, I sensed something big. A presence behind me. It glared at me with its two bloodshot eyes. I slowly glared at it. Only to notice that a gigantic, red-scaled dragon was glaring at me. Is this the guy my parents killed? But how? Grr, how frustrating. How hateful. How come I cannot rest in peace, he roared. You trapped my soul, accursed witch. Free me at once. I fought bravely and died like a warrior. I want to die in peace. You've imprisoned me here. Free me at once or I shall burn your soul, he roared. How come he's here? I don't remember seeing him in the system before. Is it because of the necklace made with his magic crystal? Or is it because I ate him? Or is it a combination of all of that, plus the EXP I got from him that made this possible? I've read from some book back then that magic crystals possessed a part of the soul of the monsters they belonged to, becoming one of the main reasons why they're so strong, containing their very essence. With that being said, I wish I could free him, but I don't really know how to do that. On top of that, the system still hasn't appeared. Though, I don't think she can come here. Wherever this place may be. Guess I'm all by myself against this thing. At this moment, its intimidating presence was so strong, I couldn't help but fall to my knees. Soon, the flames began to consume my body. At this point, I question myself as to how I'm resisting this pain. I definitely have no clue how, that's for sure. Is it because I blew myself up in my previous life? At the very least, it was more powerful than what I'm feeling right now. Answer me. Why are you ignoring me? He asked. He had a masculine voice, so I assumed the dragon was a guy. I don't know how you appeared here, nor do I have a way to free you, I replied. TCH. The Dragon King will come for your soul one of these days and free his son Ignatius, he roared in response. Say whatever you want, I guess. It's not like you can do much other than cause me pain, I responded. What? How come such a little ant is so resistant to the searing flames of my soul? I don't know. They just lack a little bit of something. How dare you? He roared angrily as he opened his gigantic jaws before grilling me alive. Oh man. It got pretty hot all of a sudden. When he finished scorching me alive, he looked at me again. At this moment, I was a charred corpse on volcanic land. I bet this would have been a traumatic experience for most. On other hand, the only thing I could think about was pretty good fire. Have you thought about becoming my familiar instead? What, you survived my flames. We're not in our physical forms here. Instead, we're in our astral projections. I won't receive true damage no matter how much you torture me, only pain. I told him. After that, my body suddenly emerged from my charred corpse anew. I slowly walked towards him. At this moment, I saw a hint of fear in his eyes. Get away from me, you accursed witch. Grr. And soon, he began to throw fire at me again. No matter how much I tried to calm him down, he was furious, so I ended up ignoring him and somehow found a way to escape this strange astral landscape after a few hours of digging around the place. After that, I ended up in my usual soul landscape with the system on it. The dragon seemed encapsulated inside a fiery red bubble atop the black space. Sylph, are you okay? I tried to get you out of there so many times, but I was powerless against that dragon's will, the system muttered. Oh, so I guess you tried to come for me. Yeah, I'm fine. He just tried burning me for a few hours, nothing much, I responded. Nothing much. Normal people would have gone insane from the pain at that point. Well, I'm definitely not a normal person. I live with the pain. In my previous life, I had to live with a giant wound on my skull with a missing eye. You know how deep and agonizing the pain was. Especially when it got infected. Oftentimes I had high fever to the point I thought I was nearing my death. After going through all of that, being burned alive only seems like a trifling matter. That I see. And I also blew myself into bits if that helps, I added, chuckling. I don't think that's a laughing matter. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Goodbyes, I don't want to go yet. I want to stay more with Sylphie. On the morning of the next day, Aquarina was crying while she asked her parents to stay here for a bit longer. Come on, Aquarina. Shade said, letting out a sigh. Hee hee. She seems to have taken a liking on you, Sylphie, Nephiline could not help but tell me. Isn't there a way for her to stay here for a few more days? I asked. Sylphie, don't be disrespectful. Aquarina's parents are busy. Unlike us, they have a whole town to protect, my mother told me in response. Indeed. It's also because of that they must return quickly. Not to mention that the trip from there to here takes them around 3 days, father quickly added. Oh. Then again, even if Aquarina would be safe with my parents here, it's not like her parents would leave their child in a completely different house, right? Plus, I'm also sure she would miss them. I don't think she would prioritize staying with me, someone she just met, over staying with her parents. However, her cute little face and her beautiful sapphire-colored eyes were tearing up so sorrowfully that it broke my heart. She was being held by Shade as she extended her hand at me. Sylphie. Calm down, Aquarina. We'll meet again soon someday, don't be like this, I told her. Sniff. But we're friends. I know. Since we're friends, our bond will still be there even if we're far away from each other, right? Sniff. Right. You have to be strong. Whenever we meet again, let's play a lot and enjoy ourselves. I continued. Okay. Promise. Of course I do. I held her hand tightly as she smiled as her mother gently wiped the tears off her face. Honestly, we wish we could stay longer. But our town won't protect itself. My tribe is strong, but what if a thing like that fly appears near it? We'd rather not risk it. The world might be safe from the Demon King, but the remnants and the monsters are still around. Nephiline said. Indeed. Thank you for being our daughter's first friend, Sylph. We'll make sure to invite you for her birthday in a few months. And well. We'll try to come here once a month, perhaps, Shade told me after that. Once a month. Only 1 day every month, huh? Well, I hope Aquarina becomes patient. When we grow up, we'll be able to travel by ourselves and meet more often. Well, although our territory is vast, it's not like we have to protect people like you guys. In fact, we could head to your town and visit you guys. We could even stay for a few days once a month. I think that would be better. Right, Sylph, Aquarina, father asked soon after. As expected, my father is the best. Yeah, that sounds nice. I replied. Oh, I suppose it would be a good experience for Sylph to see the outside world. We could head to your town next weekend, how about it, my mother soon asked. Sounds great. We'll be waiting for you guys, Nephiline said, nodding in agreement. Indeed. Make sure to prepare well for the travel, though, reminded Shade. Yeah, we'll be ready by then. Father nodded. See, Aquarina. We can meet in a week from now. I told her. Hearing that, Aquarina beamed with great excitement. Really? I'll be waiting for you at home, she said. Me too. Wait, I quickly headed upstairs into my room and grabbed a fairy tale book before heading downstairs again. Here, take this. Hold it until we meet again. I gave her a small book named The Goldfish That Became a Dragon. It was a fairy tale that taught the value of effort, hard work, and perseverance to young children. Aquarina liked it a bit, so I gave it to her. Really? She asked. Yeah. Thanks. Such a cute little girl. Thank you for being so nice with our girl, it's as if you two are sisters already. Nephiline could not help but chuckle as she kissed my forehead. Take care of her please. Sure thing, said her mother. Very well. We must be off, then. It was good to meet you, Sylph, Shade told me as he petted my head. Thank you, sir. Have a good trip. We will. After that, the mysterious Shade and Nephiline walked away with Aquarina after they hugged my parents rather tightly. Their bond as friends was clearly strong, forged from many battles. Suddenly, Shade called upon something. Familiar summoning. Flash. Right outside the house, an enormous raven made of shadows emerged from Shade's shadow, which expanded at an alarming rate. The enormous creature was over 7 meters tall and had glowing bloodshot eyes. Not to mention a powerful yet eerie presence. Sire! It cried loudly as it sat down on the ground. Shade, Nephiline, and Aquarina soon sat down over its vast back before the enormous bird began to flap its gigantic wings, creating a small commotion around the place. Amazing! We'll be waiting for you. Nephiline said, waving her hand as Aquarina waved her hand at me. Flash! With that, Mother opened the barrier, and soon, the raven flew into the skies. The creature slowly disappeared within the white clouds atop the sky. After a while, they were gone from our line of sight. Damn! It would be scary to travel in such heights, but Aquarina seemed pretty calm. Maybe she's used to it. I wish my parents took me to a trip somewhere. Well, they'll do that the following weekend, so it's just a waiting game at this point. And that's that. Who wants some grilled boar steaks? Father asked. Me. I replied with great fervor. In fact, I love wild boar meat. There's a lot of cake left. We can also eat that for dessert, my mother said, holding me in her arms before carrying me inside the house, with father following after her. As we entered the house, I could not help but feel a bit sad. After all, I wanted to stay more with Aquarina. But I suppose I should get over it. In over a week, the two of us will meet again. I have to make sure to prepare. Come to think of it. How will we get to Aquarina's place? And where are we exactly? I asked, curiosity taking over my mind. Oh, you finally wondered where we live. My father laughed. We live in a giant floating continent named Claudia, my mother replied rather casually. Floating continent. Are we literally high up in the skies? No wonder it's a long trip to hear if Shade and Nephiline live down there. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The floating continent of Claudia. Well, that's a surprise. To think we were actually living on a giant floating continent all this time. Claudia. Yes, Claudia. It's classified as a divine treasure in itself, my father told me. This giant continent was said to have been made by the gods when they used to live in terrarium, before the world created the first demon king that waged war against the gods, before they were forced to retreat into the high heavens. My mother continued where father left off. Ah! It was said that the first demon king was the strongest, so strong that he was capable of defeating gods single-handedly. He was ultimately defeated by the first 10 heroes, our predecessors, father said. His body was so big and strong that it broke into many pieces that fell on the world. Most of his body gathered in the oceans to the south, becoming the demon continent where demons and monsters emerge constantly. It's also where every demon king had been born ever since it was formed, my mother added. I see. Claudia is a special place. After all, it's the proof of existence of the ancient civilization of gods. We heroes were gathered here when we were finally chosen by the gods through their divine protection. This was where our adventure began as we officially became the 10 heroes of this generation. As he said this, father could not help but reminisce for a bit. It's a desolate Eden's garden. Civilizations once lived here, but now there's no people living here aside from us three. Only powerful beasts, beautiful forests, abandoned temples, lakes, and rivers could be seen here. It's a beautiful place where time had stopped. And we chose it as our home because it was the farthest one could ever hope to be from civilization, Mother said, finishing off the explanation. Man, a large amount of information was dumped onto me right then and there, but everything was just so interesting and intriguing. So, if I'm getting this right, we live in a floating continent where the gods once lived, and where the 10 heroes of each generation gather to officially form a party to defeat the Demon King and save humanity. And they seem to be quite obsessed with being away from civilization. Why? Did they do something to the heroes, or do they not want to acknowledge the fact that they're famous celebrities? Why did you want to be away from civilizations, Mom? I asked. Ah. Well, Mother scratched her head as she muttered in response. It's because they would constantly request us to do things for them. Seeing Mother's hesitation, Father took it upon himself to respond. How? Well, as heroes, we are dead to the people and must fulfill our duties to help humanity prosper, Mother answered. But this often spirals out of control and goes beyond of our original purpose. Aristocrats, kings, emperors, and other people of high nobility always ask us to do things for them. Sometimes, they're even shameless enough to tell us to win wars for them. In other words, they want to utilize us as tools for war and for their own selfish goals, my father said. Of course, we do not abide by that, but they're just too manipulative. They've tried multiple times to blackmail us into doing what they want. If they could, for example, hold you prisoner in a dungeon, they would do so, just to force us to do what they want, Mother explained. That's awful. Is humanity really that rotten? If so, why even save these bastards? In any case, I think I'm getting why the world wants to wipe humanity from its surface. Because of that, we wanted to raise you away from all of that. We wanted to live happy and carefree lives by ourselves. Whenever you're strong enough and become older, you'll be able to freely travel the world. Sylph, remember this. Never let anyone control your life. You're free to do whatever you desire, Father told me. Ooh. Of course, that's only after you grow up, little girl. Not now, you're too young, Mother added. Okay, I can wait. I have such amazing parents. And they're also pretty understandable. Now that I think about it, where does Aquarina live? I asked. They said they lived in a town, so maybe they're inside human civilization. Although they live with a large village of people, these people don't belong to any kingdom or whatever. They live in the large tribe of Amazon, in the middle of the vast jungle of green adobe, Mother replied. Amazon is a tribe of strong warriors that don't like advanced civilizations that much. They live with nature, and there are also various other wild tribes with them, such as Beastkin, Father added. Ooh. But Shade is not an Amazon, right? He's not. He used to belong to the fallen kingdom of Bagok. Well, that's a whole other story for later, Father replied. In any case, they're also like us. They don't want to be near these large countries. Due to our powers, they can easily detect us and chase us until they finally find us. They're so annoying. Mother could not help but let out a sigh. From what I'm hearing from Mother and Father, it seems like being a hero is not so easy. I mean, they're strong so they could also single-handedly level an entire country. However, they're not evil villains and I doubt they enjoy genocide, nor do they want anything to do with politics, so I guess that's why they don't make their own kingdom or conquer them all and unify them into one entity. I suppose they did more than enough for the entirety of humanity. After all, getting to work into politics and more would be so bothersome. I totally understand their thought process. Maybe one day I'll also go through the same problems. Then again, I honestly don't know what I'll do in such situations. Sadly. I don't think I'm as nice as my parents. I would probably crack some skulls open and make them fear me so much that they'll stop bothering me. Now that I think about it, that's how teacher trained me to be. I suppose my parents could do that, but as heroes, they might feel an apprehension from harming other humans. Nor would they want to be feared either. Oh well. We're different people. Though my parents had taught me to be nicer. I suppose. After that conversation, for the next 4 days, I continued to talk with them about things like these while also learning how to walk faster, even going so far as to run and jump around. Unfortunately, it was still quite hard. I also continued trying to convince the red dragon to stop being so aggressive. Sadly, he never listened. Of course, I've been nourishing my tree every day. Until today, something changed. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Familiars and souls. I've been preparing myself for travel into the outside world with mother and father these past 4 days. Of course, during that time, I've also been practicing my abilities. At night, I sleep, but also try to talk with the dragon. He's grumpy and tries to bite me, eat me, slash me, burn me, everything it could possibly do. As time passed, the pain had slowly become dull to me. The system told me that the pain I felt was soul pain, which was tens of times more painful than actual physical pain. I've been killed several times by him during these nights, but for some reason I don't feel much. Maybe it's because when you die once, you don't feel like death is that significant anymore. There's also the fact that everything there was just an astral projection, so I guess that also affected my perception towards it. Maybe I have to just keep being insistent and he'll eventually listen one of these days. It might take years for all I know, but I'll try to get into his sweet spot. He can't be grumpy for all eternity, right? Other than that, I've heard from my parents that familiars can be created by making a pact with a certain being. Be it a spirit, a monster, or a beast. All the heroes have pretty strong familiars, so I've decided to have this dragon be my familiar. He's just a soul. But if I summon him using that summon familiar spell, perhaps he could turn into a dragon soul familiar and become strong. At the very least, I'm certain he could make my fire magic stronger. Of course, I've kept this a secret from my parents for obvious reasons. I don't want them to get worried over something like this. Apparently, in this world, familiars are pretty common for strong people. But heroes have perhaps the strongest among them, for obvious reasons. At the age of 5, most of the young and talented kids with magic are encouraged to pick a familiar. They're often given the chance of taming a young creature. After the bond with a familiar is made, it lasts forever. Also, it's said that having a familiar is very important if a person wants to continue growing stronger as it aids in the growth of magic power. A familiar works sort of like a mediator of mana and elemental essence. Depending on one's affinities, one would pick a familiar that would match them. The creature will then aid the user into better manipulating mana and their specific element thanks to the soul bond between master and familiar. That's so interesting. I want Ignatius to be one of my familiars if it's possible. Wait, isn't the system technically my first familiar? But what element is she exactly? I guess all elements. Or is it none? She definitely seems like a familiar now that I think about it. Then again, people can have many familiars at once, the limit only lies within their soul. If one's soul is big enough to establish many contracts and soul bonds with different creatures, then there's no point in hesitating. However, if one's soul is too little and underdeveloped, then it would be difficult to achieve. The thing is, the stronger the creature, the more space its contract occupies in one's soul. But it's probably because Ignatius was eaten by me and he's already inside my soul, so I suppose we're already in some sort of pseudo-contract. Though, he has yet to agree to it. For now, I can't use his help. Moving that aside, I've been practicing my 2 abilities throughout these past 4 days, but it's not like I can achieve so much in so little time. I need even more time. Nevertheless, the necklace has been wonderful. I can now conjure embers several times far more easily than before. Plus, I can fuse these little embers into larger spells as well. The spells I've learned using this method of fusing multiple embers has been Fire Whip, Flame Lance, and Fireball. Oh right. I've also conjured Fire Wall, too. My parents told me that Fire Whip, Fire Lance, and Fire Wall are Tier 3 spells, which is considered strong and above average. According to them, only a strong wizard could conjure them, not normal folk. Father told me it took him 5 whole years to learn the spells I've half-mastered in one. And to think that these results are all through constant effort. Even as a baby, I worked hard and continued to conjure magic. It was hard, very hard in fact. Many times, I passed out of exhaustion. Then again, I might do so every night as well. Just yesterday, I also passed out of exhaustion after practicing mana usage for 4 hours straight. From a certain perspective, I think I'm quite the talented youngster. Anyways, the necklace enhanced my capability of manipulating fire magic, as well as its power. In exchange, it makes it cost more mana. Which doesn't matter, since I have endless mana, ha. Now, leaving fire-type magic aside, let's move on to the nature-type. Indeed. I am already and officially catalogued by my parents as a dual wielder of fire and nature attribute magic. They told me both attributes are very different from one another, which makes me an incredibly rare magician already. Usually, people are born with only one affinity, which helps them easily learn magic of that type, but that doesn't mean they can't use other elements. They can, but they'd have to exert a lot more effort. Usually, specializing on your own attribute is the best and easiest path, but even my dad has learned many tier 3 or 4 spells from the other elements to complement his spell set while still having fire as his strongest magic. Speaking of which, he has a lot of tier 8, perhaps even tier 9 spells. Mother's the same as father. She uses fire magic sometimes to light candles, start fires, and so on. Continuing with that thought process, it seems that, in this world, with a lot of effort, I could master all elements. Oh ho. Anyways, as I've said before, I've been practicing using my agriculture skill a bit more. Nourishing my Yggdra is priority, but I've begun to practice with normal plants. I used the grass on the ground as an experiment subject the other day when Mother let me head out. The result? I was able to make it grow up to 5 meters before I became exhausted. Also, with a bit of concentration, I was even able to control the grown grass around like tentacles. On top of that, something special also happened to Yggdra all of a sudden. She began to glow. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A precious gift today. As father was in the farm and mother was cooking, I sneaked outside the house and went to see my favorite Eden apple tree, Yggdra. It has been a few months since I began to nurture her, so she has grown into a pretty fine little sapling. Her bark was hardening, and although she had yet to bear any fruit, she looked healthy and had already surpassed my own height. She had been my main project ever since I took her as a tiny seed from an apple one ate once. Now, she's like the friend I come to visit every day and talk to her. I know trees don't talk, but I like to speak with her sometimes. I usually ask her how she's doing, and how the sun over her leaves feel like. Of course, she doesn't answer, she's a plant, after all. However, I still remember that one time when I heard a faint whisper telling me, "Thank you," when I planted her. Perhaps that was her. Mother did tell me that all living beings have souls, even plants. With that in mind, hoping that one day she would answer me, I nourished her using my agriculture skill and all the mana I had until I became exhausted. The times when I got exhausted while using a lot of mana has become a lot less frequent now, but don't expect much from a 1-year-old, please. However, today, there was something different. I had felt something faint before. But now, it was very strong, like so strong it's already palpable. Pondering over it, I soon touched her and gave her my mana to let her grow, and then I felt it. Her entire body began to glow with bright emerald light as a small halo of yellow light emerged over her leaves. What's going on? I panicked a bit at first. I really didn't know what this even meant. But my panic quickly went away as I felt a soothing embrace wrap my tiny body. A bath of light soon reached my body, as several sparks of light began to surge from Yggdra and me. It was so mystical. Why Yggdra? I asked timidly. I expected an answer, but she remained silent. I suppose it's not the time yet. Ah. However, I suddenly heard something. Yggdra. I knew it. You really spoke to me before, didn't you? Come on. Don't be shy with me. We're friends, right? Yggdra. Ooh. She said a few more words. Though nothing coherent. It seemed as if she was undergoing something. Flash. Soon, the particles of light from the tree began to all gather in front of me, turning into a blinding flash of light. In response, I covered my eyes for a bit until it receded. What remained after that was a faint little body. Something floating in front of me. It didn't have a humanoid body, nor did it look like a fairy. But it was a little thing. In fact, it resembled a fist-sized seed. It was green and had two beady golden eyes. On top of that, it had a cute little mouth. It had a big leaf on top, which glowed quite brightly if I might add. Wah! It didn't even speak, but it launched itself at me. Bump! Ugh! From that, I fell over the grass on the ground as I sensed something enter my soul. What was that? Was that really Yggdra? Yggdra. Sometime later, the tree stopped glowing as it soon went back to normal. What was that? Suddenly, I heard something. Take good care of it. It's a nature spirit, created by our bond. Yggdra. The soothing voice of a young woman resounded inside my mind, but I looked at the tree, and it remained silent. A nature spirit. So. This glowing creature wasn't Yggdra, but a nature spirit. Father noticed something wrong was going on and rushed to my side right away. Sylphie. Are you okay? He grabbed me and checked me out, casting a few tier 3 healing spells over my body. Ah. Yeah. I think something weird happened to Yggdra. A nature spirit came out of her and entered my chest. I don't know where it is right now, I told him. A nature spirit. From Yggdra, the tree, Father asked. Yeah. Father quickly moved back to the house and told Mother about it. Oh. Sylphie. You've made a pact with a spirit familiar already, Mother asked. Is that it? But the spirit is gone. I replied. That's because it most likely entered your soulscape, Father told me. Indeed. When we make contract with a familiar, our souls open up a small internal space where they can go inside and rest, recover, or even revive, Mother quickly explained. They can even revive. Indeed, a familiar is bound to our lives. So, as long as we stay alive, they'll also stay alive. Although it might take years for one that has died to fully revive, Father said in response to my question. Anyways, Sylphie. Concentrate right now and close your eyes. Try to look into your soul. You're a talented girl, so I'm sure you can find it, Mother told me soon after. Phelan, don't pressure the girl. She just got the spirit. Plus she's also tired, maybe she needs to rest a bit. Father could not help but let out a sigh. But the spirit suddenly made the contract. She has to look at it, said Mother, rebuking Father. And I say that she must rest. Father was adamant. The two looked at each other rather defiantly, most likely from what they want me to do. I'm fine, I'm fine. I will look at it. After all, Father healed my exhaustion, I said. After that, I closed my eyes and looked at my soul as I always did. Surprisingly, within this dark place, there was now grass all over. Ha! The floor had a lot of grass now, scattered all throughout. There were even flowers growing here and there, and the sky was now blue instead of black. System. I'm here. Something entered and changed the entire landscape. Well, it's not like I'm complaining about it, she responded. So a spirit can actually do such a thing. Perhaps the spirit reflects its true nature by changing the appearance of this place, the system could not help but say. Did you see it? Where did it go? I asked. It's there. With that, the system pointed out a fist-sized bean playing around with butterflies. Chapter 27. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The little spirit of nature. As I entered my own soulscape and looked at it, it has definitely changed. The power of the nature spirit that suddenly emerged within Yggdra and made a contract with me made this dark space turn into a beautiful grassland. The tall grass was nice and fresh, while the dirt below was moist. Plus, the sun above the skies was shining brightly, illuminating the world with its beautiful rays. In fact, it feels like as if I was outside, but to think this is inside my soul. This is insane. And as the system pointed me out, the spirit was currently playing with butterflies. I don't know how these butterflies appeared here, but this entire place was some sort of dream-like scenario, so they might just be part of it and not actual insects. After all, it would definitely feel weird to have a bug inside my soul. Anyways, I moved towards the nature spirit silently. Surprisingly, it quickly detected me and looked at me with its shiny golden eyes. Dot. Dot. Awkward silence. Is it afraid of me? I hope not. Ma. As it made a sound, it suddenly flew at my side. Bump. After that, it threw me into the grass and then began to rub its body over my face. Aha. I guess he likes me. Ma, oh, you're such a cutie. I thought you were scared of me. I could not help but let out a sigh before chuckling soon after. Judging from what I could sense, the little spirit seemed confused by my words. Ah well, never mind. Anyways, how did you come to be? Ma. It doesn't know, huh? I guess I should have expected that. It's very childish too, actually. In fact, it's like a baby. I guess you can't really answer me. I suppose Yggdra gave birth to you somehow. Maybe I should ask my parents. Want to come out with me? I asked gently, extending my hand. Ma. In response, I quickly touched my hand as I decided to wake up. What I found in front of me was a floating fist-sized green seed. Oh, it's here, my mother said. Wow. What a small spirit, Father said in response to the seed. He's small but cute. I replied. Phoo. The nature spirit sat down on my hands as it rested leisurely. I wonder how it came to be. And is it a problem that it's small-sized? I asked. Well. It's not really a problem. It seems to be a young spirit, so it's obviously small. Your father's fire spirit was just big from the get-go because he got it when he was already in his 20s, Mother told me, letting out a sigh soon after. Ah. Yeah. I guess it's reasonable for someone at your age to get a little one to grow up with, Father said. Oh. What's your spirit, Daddy? Can I see it? I asked. It's too big to let it out in here. Mom and Dad seem to have 3 familiars each, one of the 3 among them being a spirit focused on their major element. Unlike other familiars such as monsters or beasts, spirits are beings made of elemental mana that are born naturally from the environment or the world. However, they still take shapes similar to other beasts, Father explained, summoning his fire spirit while being outside. Flayawash. A giant explosion of flames soon emerged from a magic circle on the ground. Now I see why he didn't want to summon it inside the house. My spirit is very well, explosive, Father said as he showed us a large, almost 6-meter tall fox made out of flames. It had over 6 tails, all of them made out of flames. It looked majestic in my eyes. You've summoned me in the middle of my nap. What is it? You told me the war was over, and I could nap all I want, it said with an annoyed voice. Surprisingly, I couldn't distinguish its gender. From what I could hear, its voice was between an effeminate young man or a girl. I could assume the spirit was a girl, but I feel like it's better not to. Ha ha ha. Sorry, I just wanted to show my daughter how much spirits could develop, Father replied. Daughter. Oh. Hearing that, the fox looked at me from above as Phelan greeted it. Hello, it's been some time. It's the elf girl. How long have I been sleeping? Don't tell me you actually married her. What about the other girls? I liked the one with green-colored hair, the spirit said all of a sudden. That girl loved someone else. And I didn't love her either. At most, she was just nice with me. I think I was more of a big brother figure for her, Father replied, letting out a sigh. Ha. Ahem, sorry for being rude, the spirit quickly said in response, sensing my mother's smile. She was smiling like always, but there was a hint of dark intent to it now, as if shades grew over her eyes as they glowed with a faint crimson-red light. She was definitely exuding a deadly and bloodthirsty presence right now. Oh ho ho. It's nothing, Mother said to the spirit. You're big, I could not help but say. Ah. I never thought I would see my master's baby so soon. Perhaps I shouldn't have slept for so long, the fox sighed, looking at my eyes. Hello, little girl. What's your name? It asked. She's Sylph. But before that, why don't you greet me? My mother responded to the question before asking back another one. At this point, anger was visible on her face. Nice to meet you, Phelan. Don't look at me like that, please, the fox said. Like what? It asked. Never mind. Well, this is an awkward relationship. What exactly happened between Mother and this spirit that they have such a strange relationship? This is why I didn't want to take Nico out. Father could not help but let out yet another sigh. I see you've got a little nature spirit there. On top of that, it's a newborn one. How did you get it? Oh, that tree. Nico easily concluded everything incredibly quickly. From the looks of it, she has quite the perception and intuition. Can you tell me how was it born? I don't really know it happened. I asked. Oh. Nico began to smell the nature spirit with her large and pointy fox snout, and then, it smelled Yggdra. I see. You raised that Eden apple yourself, right? It asked. Yeah, I used my magic to raise it every day, I replied. Interesting. It seems that the Eden apple tree has gained a powerful spiritual affinity with you. In other words, you've made a spiritual child through soul bonding, it explained. Wait, child. Am I a mother at 1 year old? I see, so that's how it is, my father said. We elves often do this with the trees in the forests from our homeland. Good work, Sylphie, Mother told me. I see, so that's the case. No, wait a minute. This is actually normal. Chapter 28. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A conversation with a fox spirit. What do you mean I'm the mother of a child? Should I tell Yggdra that she's the father? Wait. Now that I think about it, who's the father in this relationship? Are we both mothers? Ha. I feel confused. I could not help but say. Well, you see. Magical trees have special souls. They resonate with us elves the most due to our connection with the elements of life, light, and nature. Due to the deep bond you have with Yggdra, your souls shared wavelengths and formed into what's known as a soul bond. It could be said that Yggdra is a pseudo-familiar of you, but because she can't move from there due to her being too young to evolve into anything that can really move, the accumulation of mana, elemental essence, and spirit energy had given birth to a unique nature spirit made from both your soul and Yggdra's soul, Mother explained. Okay. I think I barely understood that. Some of our talented members do this ritual in our homeland where we bond with magical trees through the years. Sometimes they become dryads or ents, other times, they instead give birth to a spirit which is similar to a child between the master and the tree. I didn't do this ritual, however, Mother added. I see. Hold on for just one bit, Mom. Ain't this a tad too complex to explain to a 1-year-old girl? Well, I guess she always kind of knew I was pretty intelligent. I think she once told my father that she was as intelligent as I am at almost my same age. Elves seem to develop mentally very quickly. Remember to take good care of that little spirit, Sylphie, Father told me. Indeed. She seems talented. I can clearly feel within her soul. There's something strong in there. She has gifts within her, Nico said. Is that so? If that's true, she could be even more talented, Mother said in response. Gifts. Gifts are what we call special types of abilities bestowed upon someone. They lay dormant inside a person's soul and awaken after they hit maturity or do something in specific. They're powers greater than simple magic. Us heroes are usually born with a few of them, which also makes us heroes to begin with, Father explained. So special abilities are catalogued as gifts. Did this fox just see through my system? No, I think it couldn't fully detect it, but it did say I have gifts, so it knows there's something within me. However, it does not know what it is. Phew, that's fine. I guess. Now, what should I do with the spirit? I wondered. Raise it and take good care of it, Mother replied. It will grow stronger and mature as you do. It will probably become pretty useful after you've grown older. Although, as of now, it should be able to help you out on practicing and using nature magic, Father told me. I see. What name should I give to it? I wondered yet again. Give it a simple name, so you don't forget it, Mother said in response. A simple name. Let's see. Air. Naturia. I soon blurted out. Foo. Naturia liked her name, floating around me excitedly while making cute little noises from time to time. Thought it was an adorable spirit child. With that, I'm looking forward to seeing it evolve. Then again, I don't know if I should call Naturia a he or she. Gender. We spirits are incorporeal beings. We don't possess physical bodies and reproduction is done through a similar means that your spirit came to be, so we don't require genders. Therefore, we don't really possess them. However, some of our members take on masculine or feminine humanoid shapes. Your creature doesn't seem to have any defining trait, so you can call it whatever you want. Plus, I don't think it would mind, the giant flaming fox told me in response. Then. I'll go with both. Whatever. I shrugged, eventually thinking it was useless to mull over it. You're a strong girl. I can feel your mana overflowing. On top of that, you're just 1 year old. However, in sharp contrast to that, you act and talk so eloquently and maturely. I wish I could become your spirit, Nico could not help but say soon after. Oi, Nico, you can't abandon me like that. Even if it's for my daughter, Father said, his tone laced with a hint of worry. I'm just joking. You've gotten old if you're not able to take my jokes as they are. Nico said in response, letting out a sigh. Old. I'm not even 30 yet, my father could not help but respond. See. That was also a joke, Nico replied. Your jokes are just boring, Father told Nico. Oh my. Alright then. I better go back to sleep. I suppose my presence is not well liked around here. Nico said, letting out a sigh once more. No, wait. Don't leave, I cried. Ha! You like my presence, little Sylphie, the fox asked, licking my face. Its fire didn't burn me. In fact, it felt warm and comfortable. Don't mind my parents. You're nice, I told it. Fufufu. You're a lovely girl, aren't you? Papa, can Nico stay for a bit longer? I asked. Fine. But don't get too ahead of yourself, Nico, father said. Don't worry, I'm a grown adult now. I can be responsible, Nico replied. I don't know about that one. Nico is too mischievous, mother could not help but say. Look who's talking. What did you say? I didn't say anything. At this point, Nico averted mother's gaze. In the end, I spent some time with the fox while I asked it a few things I didn't know about. Nico was way better at explaining things, plus it had a higher and more acute spiritual sense than the two. Turn a dragon's soul into a familiar. Yeah, is it possible? I asked. I don't know. Certainly, a dragon is a magic beast. They're not actually monsters, as they're a race of intelligent beings that had existed before then. With that, they can become familiars if they're willing. But only a soul. I don't know about that. I see. By any chance, is there a dragon's soul inside that pendant? It asked. Nico almost guessed it. Kind of. It was made from its magic crystal. I see. Perhaps you could try to tame that grumpy dragon. But if it was killed by your parents, I doubt it'll easily give in to your demands. However, it's already dead. At some point, its will might begin to fade away and crumble. You must be cunning and slowly whittle away at its defenses, devour his mental stability and make him dependent on you. Nico soon told me. A malicious smile emerged on the fox's face, showing me its sharp fangs. Oh. I see. Hee hee. I guess I should try to be more manipulative, then. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bonus chapter, A Stubborn Dragon and Creation Magic No. I don't want to. Ignatius was roaring at me angrily, releasing flames everywhere he could. Come on, you don't have any other option, to be honest. You'll get bored if you stay here for all eternity. At the very least, you could help me find a way to free you. I won't trust you, you damned human witch. Your parents killed me, and you even ate my soul. Do you think I'll ever trust anything you could possibly say? But if you don't, you'll be here forever. Come on, become my familiar. I replied. No. Grao. After that, Ignatius began to let out a roar as he released a powerful breath attack over me, bathing me in flames. Naturally, I was burned alive. Burn! Burn, he roared, using his feet to crush my body and splatter it into the ground. Sigh. I slowly regenerated back and looked at him. It's useless, stop doing that. I said to him, sighing. I will fight. My will is unbreakable. I have been forged in countless battles. He used his claws to slash my little baby body mercilessly before beginning to burn and crush me again until I turned into burnt meat paste. Man, this guy doesn't even bat an eye after killing a little baby girl. He's the worst. You're pretty evil, you know. You're constantly slaughtering a little baby. Don't you feel any remorse? I would feel terrible if I were to try killing a baby dragon and would probably not do it. But you don't even show any mercy against a human baby. I asked. You humans are just a pest of this world, roared Ignatius. Pest. You drain the life of the world, and the world is constantly crying because of it. It cries in pain because of you. We dragons are the guardians of the world. Do you think we would ever cooperate with you? He roared back. Wait, what? What did humans do? I asked. You would never understand even if I explained it to you. The sins of humanity are far too many to be forgiven. All of you need to be wiped out so the world can be saved, the dragon replied. Come on, tell me more. I'm completely clueless, I told him. Shut up and die. Thus, he began to squish me like a bug once more. Of course, I regenerated back. He. We can do this all day if you want. Let's see who has a stronger will, Ignatius, I reminded him. T.tch, you won't get through me, ever, he roared. And like this, every night, I was agonizingly tortured by this dragon as I tried to speak with him. Of course, my mind had somehow evolved so I can actually dull all my senses while I'm with him, so I don't even feel pain anymore. Then again, it's not like it would affect me that much. Anyways, the end of the week quickly came. During the past 3 days, I was practicing fire magic and nature magic. The result? Nothing much. Thanks to my new pendant, the intensity of my flames had become stronger, and I can conjure ember multiple times in a row a bit faster than before. Meanwhile, using the aid of Naturia, I can finally control the plants a bit better. Before, it was quite difficult. I could nourish them to make them grow big, but it was pretty taxing on the mind to order them to do things because plants don't possess minds. In other words, they don't answer to commands. What I would need to do make plants move is to insert my will inside of them and pretty much become their mind, something too complicated for me at the moment. On top of that, I'm just barely grasping the most basic principle now thanks to the aid of Naturia, the very young nature-attribute spirit, my first familiar if you don't count the system. Thanks to Naturia, I don't get so exhausted when using mana anymore as she shares some of my exhaustion. It's as if my stamina bar had suddenly increased in capacity thanks to her. However, she still feels tired after a while and both of us blank out if we do too many things for a while. Then again, you can't expect big changes and improvements in just a few days. After all, growth is a gradual process that might take years, so I'm pretty happy with what I've achieved. In any case, it was finally time. Today was the day. I'm finally going to go outside and see the outside world for the first time. We were going to visit Aquarina's town and stay the whole week there. Mother already told me that we could do this once or twice a month. That way, I could see Aquarina a lot per month and not just for a single day. Speaking of which, my parents weren't so worried about our home because there's nothing we really needed to protect there. Nevertheless, they left guards while Mother left the barrier activated, which was actually fueled through massive crystals found under this whole place. Apparently, there was a big temple from ancient times, where she placed massive magic crystals she made with alchemy by fusing multiple monster crystals into one. She then purified them and infused her mana into them until they were filled. She called them mana crystal batteries, or something along those times. Surprisingly, 4 of them could fuel the barrier for over a decade, so she wasn't actually constantly using mana to maintain the barrier, but she did have to give it mana every 10 years. Oh, right. They also left some guards so a dragon or a remnant from the Demon King's army doesn't get here and begin trashing our house and farm. Now that I'm talking about the guards that they left were quite unique. You see, aside from familiars, there are also summons. Although they're similar in some ways, since you can summon a familiar through spells, there are also independent magic spells that completely generates a living being. Of course, to make such a thing possible, one would have to be an incredible magician. However, my parents are pretty amazing, so they showed me what it was to create summons. Create summon. Archangel Guard Troops. My mother chanted simple words, with several flashing lights emerging before us not long after. An army of winged men wearing white armor soon appeared in front of us out of nowhere. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Sea of Clouds. Mother told me that the principle behind summon creation was To learn the principle of creation magic. Creation magic is the magic that gods wield. My parents had barely grasped a tiny bit of it in all these years of working and investigating, learning and so on. They found several grimoires in here when they first gathered with the other heroes, treasures left by the gods so the heroes could use them to grow stronger and develop their magic and techniques. Or something like that. By learning the basics behind creation magic, they could temporarily bring life to magic itself and create pseudo-spirits of their own, which they produce en masse. If I remember correctly, they can actually make even more, I believe. After all, they used them in the wars against the demons. I can already see why they wanted them to win wars. If they just generate a few dozens of these things, they could win any war against other kingdoms. But my parents always say that heroes were made to save humanity, not to fight human wars. In any case, after seeing these winged men emerge out of nowhere, I couldn't help but ask her how she even did this. It's simple, actually. You just imagine a being and bring it to life. They don't stay here forever, though. After some time passes, they disappear. However, they can be maintained for more time through the infusion of mana into them. They'll keep guarding our place for the week we're out, Mother told me. Now. Create summon. Fire beasts. Flash. As for Father, he created a dozen of beasts made out of flames, ranging from 2 meters to 5 meters in height. They all had varied shapes and appearances, some were big birds, while others were cows. One of them was even a bear, and so on. There were around a dozen of them coupled with the other dozen angels, enough to protect this place while we were out, or at the very least be capable of holding on until we come back. Ah, right. We should make a big one just in case. I don't want my house to be destroyed while we're out. If Beelzebub knew of our location, then it's likely that more of them might also know of it, my father said. Yes, let's combine our magic to make this stronger, Mother replied, nodding in agreement. With that, Mother and Father suddenly held hands as their auras began to fuse together. Light and fire then began to spiral around and form into a powerful figure. Holy Fire Guardian. Flash. In an instant, a 10-meter tall humanoid being emerged in front of us. It resembled the angels from before, but it was obviously way taller. Its body was muscular and was covered in red and gold armor. On top of that, it had a cross-shaped helmet and 3 pairs of white wings. Lastly, it had 3 halos of flames atop its head, a large shield, and a fiery blade. Wow! This should be able to stall even a remnant from the Demon King's army for a bit, Father said. Hopefully. Now let's get going. Creation magic makes me feel very dizzy, Mother said, letting out a sigh. Summon familiar. Mother said these words as a giant white owl emerged out of a magic circle on the ground. Flash. The owl's beautiful white feathers glistened with bright yellow gold light, while its shiny aquamarine eyes looked deeply into my soul. It had a black beak, and a wise expression on its face. So. I'm being used as transport, he asked. You've always been used for that, my mother replied. To think that this would be the fate that would await the Keeper of Records, he sighed, lowering his back for us to hop in. You won't even greet my daughter, Eustace, my father asked as we hopped aboard. Sorry. Hello, little girl, the owl said as he moved his face closer to mine. This creature was probably around 7 meters tall. In any case, his entire face was bigger than my body. Hi. I'm Sylph. Sylph, I see. I'm Eustace. The former Keeper of Records. You hold the sharp look of your father, but there's a certain elven beauty to you like your mother. What an interesting combination. I never expected you two to actually have a child, but it happened, and it's a beautiful girl. Come, I'll carry you to your destiny, he said in response. Thank you. He might be a bit scary, but Eustace is a good familiar, my mother said. Well, if Nico didn't scare her, I don't think Eustace will, father could not help but say soon after. What? That vixen met her before me? Eustace could not help but ask. Don't call my spirit a vixen, Eustace, my father could not help but remind Eustace. Sorry, yeah, Nico met her before. You were still sleeping and I didn't want to wake you up, mother said in response. Of course. But to carry you somewhere, I am the first one you think of. Well, you have wings and have a big body, mother said, scratching her head as she let out a sigh. It should be pretty obvious. Father shrugged his shoulders. Moving that aside, I was made to sit over this giant white owl's back. It had very fluffy feathers and it was pretty comfortable to sit over it. We had packed things up inside a small backpack which my parents said was a spatial bag of sorts. This backpack carried way more things than it seemed, and we didn't require anything else with us other than this. Now that we're ready, let's get going to Nephiline's place. You remember where that is, right? My mother asked. I remember all things, the owl replied, beginning to flap his wings as he flew into the skies. Flay-a-wash. The breeze washed my face as I quickly felt dizzy while we continuously reached higher and higher altitudes. In fact, I felt like I was about to throw up at some point. However, I contained myself and closed my eyes as mother hugged me tightly from behind. Calm down, Sylphie. Calm down. Everything is going to be okay, she whispered as magic began to cover my body. Eventually, I felt tranquil and at ease. Ah. Thank you, Mommy. Now, look. We're already up in the skies. Mother then pointed me at the skies around us. From what I could see, there was a vast sky around us, boundless. The blue sky was completely clean, with the bright sun atop the skies illuminating the world. Below us was a vast, almost endless sea of fluffy white clouds. The vastness of everything simply left me speechless, actually. What a sight.